2, 3.
Some people say that cancer is for lifestyle, like holding in stress and trauma and having a bad lifestyle. And some people say cancer is random, has nothing to do with your lifestyle. So, in your experience, how important is, unresolved trauma or long-term, emotional suppression impact our cancer risk?
I would say cancer is a multifactorial disease. So everything is to be taken into account. So you are right. Some people say everything is genetic. It's just genetic. You have the genes. You are going to have cancer because all the women in your family have breast cancer. You are deemed to have breast cancer. You are not deemed and you are not doomed. No, I mean, a gene is an increased risk. It doesn't mean you are going to have cancer. And a lot of things are acquired also. When you say it runs in the family, it has to do with the way you cook also, with which product you cook. And if there are some things which are toxic, and you are going to eat that in your family day after day after day, and it is going to show up on your liver at some point. It's not genetic, and you could change that.
Welcome back to the Transform Your Mind to Transform Your Life. Today's episode, it's tender, it's powerful, and for some of you, it may be deeply personal because we're talking about cancer, not just from a medical perspective. We're exploring something that many people feel in their hearts, but are sometimes afraid to say out loud: the connection between our emotions and our physical health. What role exactly does stress, fear, trauma, grief, or even hope play in the development or progression of disease? Can emotional healing support physical healing? And what happens inside the body when we carry unresolved pain for years? So, if you've ever wondered whether whatever you're holding inside is affecting your health, this conversation is for you. My guest today is Sylvie Beljanski. Welcome, Sylvie.
Hello, thank you for having me.
You're very welcome. All right. Well, Sylvie is not only a health advocate and researcher, she's a woman carrying forward a powerful legacy in integrative cancer research. As founder of the Beljanski Foundation and author of Winning the War in Cancer, she has dedicated her life to educating the world about natural approaches to cancer and the science behind them. So today we go deeper. Today we talk about emotions, we talk about fear, we talk about hope, we talk about empowerment, because healing is not just physical, it's emotional, mental, and sometimes even spiritual. So take a deep breath, open your heart, and let's transform the way we think about healing. All right. Now, with that intro, I'm excited. I hope you are too. All right. So, Sylvie, many people sense that emotions play a role in illness, but it's often dismissed as unscientific. From your perspective, what is the real connection between emotions and cancer development or progression?
I would say there is a connection, an obvious connection, because we are more than cells. We are a whole And that includes absolutely all of our emotions and our lifestyle, everything which is just much more than a tumor. Turns out that when you go see the doctor, doctors still very often tend to focus on the tumor. But the tumor is just a symptom of something deeper happening to your body, and your body reacts by creating the cancer. So it is really, really important to understand what is going on at every level of your body, including your emotions. Now, you mentioned also trauma. I would like to say that trauma happens to everybody. I'm going to turn 70 this year. I've known nobody who can, cross a lifespan without meeting some trauma at some point. It happens, either when you are a kid and you spend your life recovering of it. It happens for some people in the middle of their life, and it's kind of shatters that change everything they knew, they believe, they change completely the course of their life. And for many, many people, unfortunately, it happens later on life, at the point where it is difficult to recover because the number of years is counted. I would like to say that if trauma happens to all of us, what really matters is the way we react to trauma. It is the way we handle ourselves and the emotions that come to us. We are not just raw emotions. We have the power also to control, to harness our emotion, to transform them into something bigger that will help us to go to another stage of development. And when we do that, not only we do not get very sick, but we heal ourselves from the past trauma. And it is the only way to go.
Wow, that's great. This show is not only about mindset, but it's also about healing trauma because, I had a traumatic childhood and, I talk a lot about trauma and trauma recovery. And I know that we hold, I mean, it's a bumper sticker, but I love it. We hold our issues in our tissues. So trauma, you are correct. We hold it in. Um, uh, there's one time I recognized that I was getting angry, and I'm not an angry person. I'm a bubbly, effervescent person. My pastor, tags me as warm, and that's what I am. And I found that I was getting angry, and because I'm in the space of mindfulness and awareness, I went to see I don't want to say a psychologist, right? And she told me that I was stuffing things down, and the anger is a way of coming up. So yeah, I mean, even though I may think that I was definitely healed from my childhood trauma and all that, but you're right. Trauma continues. It starts as a child, but then you go into relationship. I had a lot of failed relationships, and people do things to you, and you're holding things down, and that's probably where the anger was coming from. But I love what you said that if you were to take that emotion and transform it, this is basically
Yeah.
what the show is about. Transform your mind, transform your life, transform your emotions, transform your trauma, transform something into something else because we know that energy is not never created or destroyed. It can only be transformed. So if we transform those negative emotions that we have and we do something with it, which is why a lot of people become coaches because they help other people that's going through the same thing. And I actually feel that God gives you a test so that you can have a testimony. So I love that. Now, getting back to the cancer conversation, um, there is, just like how they have one person says tomatoes are good for you and the other person says tomatoes is bad for you. Some people say that cancer is for lifestyle, like holding in stress and trauma and having a bad lifestyle. And some people say cancer is random, has nothing to do with your lifestyle. So, in your experience, how important is, unresolved trauma or long-term, emotional suppression impact our cancer risk?
I would say cancer is a multifactorial disease. So everything is to be taken into account. So you are right. Some people say everything is genetic. It's just genetic. You have the genes. You are going to have cancer because all the women in your family have breast cancer. You are deemed to have breast cancer. You are not deemed, and you are not doomed. No, I mean, a gene is an increased risk. It doesn't mean you are going to have cancer. And a lot of things are acquired also. When you say it runs in the family, it has to do with the way you cook also, with which product you cook. And if there are some things which are toxic, and you are going to eat that in your family day after day after day, and it is going to show up on your liver at some point. It's not genetic, and you could change that. It is also, we were speaking of the toxins. We live in a world which is full of toxins now, but there are ways also when you can detoxify your house, when you can put a filter on the water. There are a lot of things you can do. Educate yourself about what are the common toxins in our environment. And yes, I know the list is endless, but it's all about education and also the emotions. It comes to the same thing. I mean, you have to learn to handle your emotions, not be getting run by them and immediately overreact to everything. You have to learn about delayed gratification. You have to learn about uh, answering quietly to somebody who is trying to trigger your buttons. We all have buttons, but I mean, some people know very well how to trigger them. And you have to learn how to handle that and not give them the power they expect to have when they are triggering your buttons. And when you do those things, well, you find yourself in a way of place of power and peace where you are much less prone, actually, to become cancerous, to become sick of whatever, I would say.
Right. Okay. So yeah, right. I've heard that too. We have a genetic disposition. I think the last my interviews that I have last week, the guy was talking about how he's got the APO4 gene, which is something to do with Alzheimer's. And yeah, I mean, he's not sitting around saying that I'm going to get Alzheimer's. He's going to do things to try to prevent that. And it's the same with cancer because there are certain foundational things that we can all do to try to be healthy. It doesn't mean that we'll be successful. I mean, one of the people that I admired and I followed was Dr. Dwayne Dwyer. I don't know if you know him,
Mhm.
but when he got cancer, in fact, I'm not sure if he died of cancer or a heart attack. I don't remember. But he had cancer anyway. And when he got cancer, he says to himself, how can I get cancer? I live this stellar life. I meditate. My mind is great. My emotions are great. And how can I get cancer? So he said to himself, there's no possible way that I can get cancer, but he did. I don't think that that's what killed him. But at the same time, right, you're right. We can try to do the best that we can. It doesn't mean that it will be successful, but it gives us a step up. The person that's not sleeping, that's not eating, that's making all these toxic emotions, sit with them and don't do anything with it. So I do believe that cancer is, a part of lifestyle. My sister got diagnosed with non-Hodgkin's lymphoma, and it was after she went through a very difficult period with her children and stuffed that down. And I'm almost sure, even though it's a DNA problem, blood cancers is all DNA, I am positive that if she had learned to deal with her emotions better, it would not have,
Yeah,
triggered that.
stuffing things down is not the answer.
Right.
It's about you have to do the work. You have to deal with everything. There is no shortcut, and unfortunately.
Yeah. Right.
Unfortunately. And the way also you eat, the way you behave with people,
Mhm.
everything counts. Everything counts.
Yeah. Yeah. Again, I learned so much from sitting in this chair and talking to people. But one of the interviews that I had, this gentleman was saying, "Oh, you know how they diagnose cancer? They diagnose cancer with a PET scan or a PET scan. And you know what they're doing? They're looking to see um, uh, the cancer that's picking up the sugar." So he's saying, why do people eat sugar?
Exactly.
They know
Exactly.
that that's what the cancer wants. Why do they eat sugar? But hey, y'all eat sugar. Even I eat sugar. I sit around
Yeah.
and eat cakes and all these type of things, and I know better, but you
Well,
just don't do.
your brain also needs sugar to function. So everything is a balance.
Yes, you're right. It's a balance. You're right. Okay. But he's saying you need to, I guess if you have cancer, you need to cut out the sugar,
But
period. But
but
I don't have
indeed,
cancer, so I guess I don't need to cut it out. But what do
yeah.
you think? What do you say to that?
Indeed, a lot of doctors, are denying the importance of emotion, just like they are denying also the role of nutrition. And they will say, oh, you can eat whatever you want. And when in fact, we know that cancer cells love sugar indeed, and that fuels the growth of cancer. But a lot of doctors, they are just, focusing again on the tumor. They think of cutting, burning, radiating the tumor, and they forget to see the patient in front of them. And I don't think that you are going to heal the patient if you forget about the patient in the first place.
I like that, right? Yeah. They're focused on, yeah, there's a girl that because I walk every day in the park, and a couple weeks ago, she was telling me she has um a um a cyst on her ovaries. And when I saw her today, she's telling me they're doing a full hysterectomy. And I asked her, I says, why are they doing hysterectomy? I said, is it cancerous? She says that it's not even cancerous. And I'm thinking, like, why would you let them do the complete hysterectomy? But that's basically the thing. They
Yeah,
just go for the maximum.
yeah, and doctors, when they have a patient in front of them in their office, they feel they have to close the deal,
Yes,
basically.
it's true.
Meaning they have to
It's true.
book you for a surgery,
Something,
for
right.
something, a
Yes,
follow-up appointment, something.
yes, yes,
Otherwise, and they put the pressure on you, and
yes,
that adds to the fear of the situation, where people feel, I am lucky that was caught up now on
right.
time, and I'm
Hmm.
able to make an appointment for next week.
Yeah, yeah.
And
But
when in fact, I mean, beyond again, the time that we need as a patient to process those things, there is also the time of the doctor who wants to be efficient, meaning in 15 minutes to book a patient with for something to follow up. There is
yeah,
the hospital who has, some charges to pay those big expenses that needs to be amortized with a number of patients
yeah,
monthly.
yeah,
And that has really, really little to do with you and the emotion. But if you do not take the emotions, the time at the beginning to deal with those emotions, for years after that, you will feel kind of resentment. Why I allowed everything to be taken away, my ovaries, my
yeah.
uterus, and so on, when it was not really
When
needed.
necessary. Exactly, exactly. Right. Yeah. Amazing. It's very true. Yeah, I would have, gone it because to me that's major surgery. Now she's 66. She's not using that ovary and that and that uterus, but at the same time, it
But
is major surgery. Right.
they are doing that to much younger women
Yeah.
who are not menopaused yet. And
Wow.
an overnight menopause is really something which is
Yeah.
very, very difficult to handle and to go through.
Yeah. That's a good point. That's a good point. Yes, they do that. Yeah, I love what you said. They got to close the deal. I love it. Yeah. All right. So sticking with the cancer conversation. A cancer diagnosis often brings overwhelming fear. So, how can patients shift from fear-based thinking to a more empowered, hopeful state without denying reality? So, we can even use the same model as she's not really my friend, it's just an associate of mine. You know, um, they're probably letting her know you better take that out because it could become cancerous. And it's just fear-based thinking. How do we come from an empowered state with that?
Well, I believe the best to deal with fear is first take the time. Give yourself some time. You don't, it's not because you are being pressed by a doctor that you have to pick up your calendar right away and make an appointment. No, no. You are absolutely entitled to say, well, I need to think of it. I need to process it. I need to speak about it with my spouse. I understand the urgency, doctor, and I will get back to you as soon as possible. Then that, deflects the urgency and you are not forced to make an appointment immediately. So the doctor is going to be disappointed. And I have know about some doctors who really become nasty when they see the opportunity fly away. And I have heard of some patients who are telling me, have been told by the doctor that if I don't make an appointment right away, it's 6 months from now, I won't be there.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I said, then when was that? 8 months ago. It's
Yeah.
it's not unheard of, but
Mhm.
you have to take that, allow yourself. I mean, you put yourself first. And what is the time that you need to make a proper decision for you? And do not allow your spouse, your mother-in-law also to make the decision for you. You have to take the time to educate yourself. Calm down, and
Mhm.
educate yourself because that will open doors that will where you are going to see what kind of treatment is the most appropriate for you. And there is not one way to handle cancer. Nobody said 100% of chemotherapies are successful. No, it's not true.
Right. Right.
Denying cancer and denying the fact that you have, a beast growing in you is not also the solution. But there are in between a lot of opportunities, and it is worth looking around, taking the time, what is going to resonate with you. I have been now in this cancer world for 30 years, and I
Mhm.
have seen everything. I have seen people who come to us. They have just been diagnosed, and I cannot have an appointment before 2 months. I don't want to let that beast grow in me. What can I take? What can I do before, so I don't waste those 2 months? I've seen people saying, well, where have you been in my life? I have already had 2 chemotherapies sessions. I was sick, like
Okay.
impossible. I could not hold anything up. I need your help. I've seen people, in order to help with my chemotherapy and my treatment. I've seen people also say, I have been recommended to take chemotherapy, but I don't want to put anything chemical in my
Mhm.
body. My body is my temple, and I am not going to put any poison in it. What can I do? I've seen people saying, well, I don't have cancer, but cancer is running in my family, and I want to prevent that. I don't want that to happen. What can I do? So
Mm.
there is not one situation, and there is not one answer. And it is really, really important to understand what your options are and listen really to yourself and what you are going to be comfortable with, knowing the side effects and what you are going to stick with. Because changing every other month is not also the way to go. Your life is too precious. You just cannot, jump from
Right,
one thing to
right,
another.
right, right. So that's you've got there are a couple of things that I want to circle back on. So for instance, when my sister was diagnosed with cancer, her first thought was, "Oh, I can't take chemotherapy. I've seen what chemotherapy does to people. You know, she's a nurse. I've seen them in the hospital. I can't take chemotherapy. I want to go the holistic approach." And I said to her, "Listen, girl, if you want to live, you better take the chemotherapy." She's saying, "Well, I've seen what it does." And I said to her, I said, sometimes God has to break something down before he builds it back up. Sure, you're going to lose a lot of weight. It's going to take everything from you, but then you're going to build yourself up. And that's exactly what happened. She lost 35 pounds, or she wasn't very big to begin with. 35 pounds. The chemotherapy didn't destroy her as she thought that it would, but now she's cancer free. So if we were to go with Steve Jobs, for instance, he had pancreatic cancer and decided that he was going to go holistic. And when he wanted to do, I don't know, chemotherapy, or he wanted to do some other treatment, it was too late. So, that killed him. So,
But I would say also, going holistic is a very large array of options. And what will work for somebody will not work for somebody else. And holistic also includes a lot of things that may work by themselves without chemotherapy. You cannot deny that there are significant number of people who have had very good results by using an integrative approach.
okay, but my problem with that is you waste 6 months on this um, holistic approach. It doesn't do anything. And by the time you get back to the cancer, it's at a stage 4 and it's going to kill you. So, I mean, that's basically what happens to a lot of people. So, what is the percentage? Well, yeah, I'm not going to ask you that because it works. I was going to say, what was the percentage of people that are being cured holistically? But that's not really our conversation today. But yeah, it's good to have options, which is what we were talking about right now. When the doctor says to you, hey, maybe you've got stage 1. When you have stage 4, then, it's a bad thing. But let's say you've got stage 1, maybe you have some time to think holistically. Maybe you have some time to go and get second and third opinion. But when they say it's stage 4, there is some kind of urgency. Now, what we're talking about is emotions. So let's say that you've been diagnosed with cancer and you are going to take the traditional route. So you're going to have the chemotherapy and all that. How do you go about with emotional healing alongside physical treatment in cancer recovery?
Well, as at the end of my conferences where I present about the benefits of a number of botanicals and how they are able to destroy cancer cells, I used to tell to people, those little botanicals are going to give you time. Now, the big question is, what do you do with this time? And again, I don't think if you want a full recovery, there is no way to avoid to make an inventory of what is toxic in your body, including the toxic relationships, the toxic emotions that you may carry since your childhood. It
Mm,
can be resentment, it can be a feeling of not being good enough, feeling unloved, whatever it is. You need to address it, face the dragon and address it, and and slay the dragon in order to move on, Yeah.
Okay. So, yeah, I think I've heard that one before too. That, yes, if you're given a second chance and you are able to be cancer free, then in order to prevent the cancer from coming back, it's a good idea to take inventory of what you know what caused the problem the first time. Getting back to my sister, she had to heal her relationship with her children and heal the relationship, whatever. And even if she didn't heal it, one of the things that I do as a coach is we tell people to change the way they look at it. And I got that from Dr. Dwayne Dwyer, by the way. That was his message. Change the way you look at a thing, and the thing you look at would change. So if you're looking at something, that's what trauma is about. We know that, people take trauma. For instance, give you a classic example. My daughter came to me the other day and said, "Oh, she's a 2-year-old daughter," and she says, um, "The school, can you believe it? The school, somebody was suing the school district because they have an autistic nonverbal kid, and the teacher was strapping the kid with a bungee cord to a chair. And everybody's up in arms. But so let's say that you were this child that was strapped to a bungee cord with a bungee cord when you were a child, and that memory is there with you for your whole life, and you feel, I don't know, trapped, you feel stuck, you feel unloved or whatever. If you change the way you look at that, and maybe come from it from the teacher's point of view, maybe you were disrupting the class and that's the only way she can keep you still. So if you change the way you look at a thing, you've somebody hurt you, cheated on you, and you carrying that hurt, for 30 years, you can just think, hey, love is not guaranteed. They're willing to, it's okay for them to, you know what I mean? So yeah, if you look at it differently, then maybe you would start to release it. So yeah, even if you can't go back and change the hurt and the trauma, you can look at it differently and, using your words, transform it into something different. Maybe you can go and help, other women that have been um, uh, cheated on, or that can't seem to get through,
You
get
know,
past it.
I,
You can transfer that energy into serving, because that always heals. So what do you think about that?
I, I never had cancer in my life. I, I got a big trauma 30 years ago when both of my parents were arrested by the French government. My father was a PhD in molecular biology who had developed some plant extracts that had very good anti-cancer effect. And he became quite famous in the 80s in France. And he was asked to help François Mitterrand, the former French president of the Republic, to help him when he was diagnosed with advanced prostate cancer. And so my father did, and Mitterrand was able, against all odds, to finish his second term. Terms were 7 years at the time in France. And everything was going well until finally Mitterrand passed away. He was in his 80s and he had finished everything he wanted to do. And 9 months exactly after Mitterrand passed away, the French government sent a SWAT team to arrest both of them, destroy the laboratory, destroy the research, arrest the doctors, about 50 doctors who were working with them, arrest the pharmacists. And they came up with a laundry list of things to charge them, which absolutely did not make sense. And it was obvious that this was not about bringing some people who had done anything wrong to justice. It was about destroying evidence that some natural treatment could do just better
Wow.
than
Wow.
the conventional medicine.
Hmm.
And I was extremely traumatized by that. I saw my father being emotionally destroyed. I saw him getting cancer, myeloid leukemia, acute myeloid leukemia within 2 months of the arrest. And I was working as a lawyer at the time in a New York law firm, and I felt I was the right person at the right time, at the right place to salvage a knowledge. I was like, I grew up seeing how those little plant extracts could help people. I am not going to let the barbarians destroy this knowledge. And that was 30 years ago, that has gave me a sense of purpose that I
Hmm.
have been able to carry for the past 30 years. And I came from a place of fury against the French government, a place
Hmm.
of resentment, a place of anger, a place of feeling a betrayal by my own government, to actually a place where I am fulfilled. I felt I got the opportunity to do something that made sense in my life and to continue the research through the Beljanski Foundation and to continue to help people have salvaged a knowledge in which I believe. I have given myself the opportunity and the freedom to speak about that in front of big audiences and doctors now who are becoming believers into this approach. And I am really happy and proud with everything that happened. And I know that my parents were, my father was destroyed. My mother carried the resentment for 25 years. I am not. I am not.
Yeah. So that's an excellent story to showcase how you can transform the anger into service. Yes, the anger and
Absolutely.
resentment. And once you do that, you kind of nullify that. Sure, you're still upset that this particular event um, was the contributing factor to your dad getting cancer, and I'm assuming he's no longer alive.
No, no, he passed it away in 2 years after the diagnosis.
Exactly. So you know that that event was the contributing factor, but you have turned it around in your mind where you did not allow them to destroy what they initially wanted to destroy,
Exactly.
and you're carrying on the legacy. And I'm assuming that the Beljanski Foundation is your father's name, right?
Absolutely. It's named
Exactly.
for my
So
father.
you're
Yes.
carrying on his name. And yeah, it's a beautiful thing. And that is basically, if there's the message here that we want to leave anybody with, that is the message that, yeah, we can't stop the things that happen to us, but it is how you deal with it. And when you carry bitterness, like you said, say your mom carried it for 25 years because she was, I mean, a lot of people don't know how to not do it, right? You carry the bitterness, you wake up with it every day, and it goes into your body. It causes inflammation. It causes chronic illness. It causes cancer because it's we're spirit. I have done this test where, you can't step or put your foot in front of each other without your brain sending a signal to your foot. Everything that you do, it is caused by the brain. And even if they give you the test where have a negative thought and see where it comes in your body. Have a positive thought. Your thoughts are so powerful. They are very, very powerful, very, very important. And you've got to streamline them. You've got to be aware of them, which is why, awareness and consciousness is so important. And don't let them run in the background and, cause chronic illness and cause cancer, yeah, sometimes it's random, and sometimes even if you do everything you're supposed to do, you're gonna still get it. But then, you might, I mean, recover from it. And I think I saw a post today where somebody has just recovered from cancer for the second time. Yeah, so there's things that we can do. So, yeah, so now, you through the Beljanski Foundation and Integrative Cancer Conference, how have you intentionally created environments where patients feel emotionally supported, not just medically informed?
Well, a conference is just more than, a series of lectures. It's also a space where, which is open for connections. It is the opportunity to listen to a number of people, see who resonates with you. And it's also a time for dialogues where you can ask questions, can be heard. There are also survivor panels. Hear about a lot of different approaches, and you can speak also to a number of people. You are also going to go through exhibitors who are all, integrative minded, and are going to address different issues that you may have, and you can discuss also with them. And it's a different kind of discussion that what you can have with a doctor. So everything is the opportunity of an opening, and it lasts 3 days. So it's a really complete different experience than just having a conversation with a doctor for 15 minutes. And then
Mm.
it's, uh,
So
it,
you do it for
it,
people that are already having cancer diagnosis, or is it a preventative thing?
there is everything. There is every stage again of cancer. And at the Beljanski Foundation, we have over the years, it was really important to me to confirm my father's work. And
Mm.
we have been working with those plant extracts, Paupera, Rolfia vomitoria, on different kinds of cancer, different stages of cancer. And recently, we have been working on cancer stem cells. Cancer stem cells are those cells which are embryonic, cancerous, and are thought to be responsible for a relapse and cancer to come back. And they are resistant to chemotherapy. So very often conventional doctors do not speak about cancer stem cells until it's too late and until cancer has come back. And
Mm.
maybe the worse than you have cancer is a sentence, cancer has come back. When
Yeah,
you're exhausted, when you feel
that's the
that
fear of everybody.
you have
Yeah,
been
because
to
it
the
does come
moon
back.
and back, and then you have to do it all over again.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
for example, we know that 1 out of 6 women who have been diagnosed with cancer, their cancer will come back.
Yeah.
But 6 out of 6 live in fear
Yes.
that the cancer may come back. And
Yeah.
this fear is by itself a negative
Yeah.
emotion that
Yeah.
can affect the
The
way.
cancer coming back. Right.
Exactly.
Yep.
Exactly.
Because whatever you fear, that's what you attract. Yes. Hmm.
So that's why we have looked very carefully at the fact that we had a study on ovarian cancer with mice, and none of the treated mice developed metastasis. So we looked into that, and we had some specific cancer stem cell studies done on ovarian, pancreatic cancer, and cancer was cancer stem cells were completely eradicated. So we had a bigger study done on breast cancer stem cells. The results are now in the publication. We are still waiting for the publication to come out, but the results are absolutely beautiful. You see the difference between the treated mouse only with human breast cancer stem cells and those who receive those human breast cancer stem cells plus a mix of botanicals, and you can see not only the tumors are smaller, the survival is much longer, but there is absolutely zero metastasis in the treated animals. So I hope that we are going to be able to give hope to a lot of women and
That's beautiful.
change the way we look at cancer metastasis. And we are going to have a big conference in San Diego in June, the Beljanski Integrative Cancer Conference. And the goal is to raise money for prostate cancer stem cells because, I mean, we believe that intuitively that it's going to be the same results, but we need to do the research.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. You're talking about the two big ones, right? The breast for men, for women, and the prostate for men. So that's good. That's good work. That's good work. It is needed. It is needed. It's the scariest thing that anyone can hear. Oh my goodness, you've got cancer. And then you're right. The scarier thing is that, we all know that the data shows that it comes back. So yeah, it's a terrible thing to live in that fear. Um, so let's talk about your book. You've got a book that's called Winning the War in Cancer on a deeper level. What does winning mean to you physically, emotionally, and spiritually?
Well, when I chose the title, I was actually thinking of the war on cancer that resulted from Nixon in 71 signing this a law that allowed federal money to be used for treatment of cancer in a very big way. Unfortunately, they did not look at the cause of cancer. They only used the money to develop some screening, some more protocols of chemotherapy and more powerful radiotherapy, but they did not look at the cause of cancer. And what we see and what we were seeing when I was writing my book is that there was an increasing number of new cancer, and we see more and more cancer, and people get younger and younger getting.
Yeah, people in their 20s are getting it. It's no longer an age disease. Yes.
Absolutely,
Mhm.
absolutely, and the
Sorry,
understanding.
kids are getting it. Forget the 20-year-olds. Kids are getting it.
Kids are
Yes, go
getting
ahead.
it. Yes, absolutely. More and more. And why, as a society, are we getting cancer? This is absolutely not addressed by the conventional approach. And that's why I thought that it was worth writing a book questioning this conventional approach and offering some other options.
So your options are plant-based solutions? Is that what you're saying? Because I think you
That,
mentioned that
that
earlier.
they can work by themselves, they can work together in synergy with chemotherapy, and that has been demonstrated.
Mm. Okay.
And what I wanted to do also is to conduct this research with uh, academic institutions independently and have all the results published in peer-reviewed papers and show that you can do the research with natural product with the same rigorous approach as you research pharmaceuticals. And there is an opening, therefore, of the arrays of solutions that people can look at when diagnosed with cancer. When we looked at the synergy of action between the plant extracts and conventional chemotherapies, we saw that are able to get to 97% of the killing the cancer cells without added toxicity when adding those plant extracts. And I
Mm.
published all those papers on the website of the foundation, beljanski.org, because I wanted to change the conversation people have with their doctor. Very often the doctor says, don't do anything else. Don't do anything else. That's just my protocol. And I wanted to give the opportunity to people to come up with a scientific publication from Columbia University or from Kansas University Medical Center and say, doctor, the synergy has been demonstrated. Why do you think I should not benefit from this synergy? And switch for the doctor to give you a scientific explanation.
Yeah, that is true. My uncle just died of prostate cancer. And, I think also when my sister was going through her treatment, they told you that you shouldn't do anything else because it might negate the chemotherapy working. So yeah, they don't
It's
want
not
you to do any
necessarily
kind of,
true.
I
Some
know.
botanicals do, but some botanicals, and it's documented, work in synergy. And that has to be understood. And not you doing that is kind of missed opportunity.
Yeah, yeah, I agree. I agree. Because they're saying that because they really don't know. They're just telling you that what they think. They really don't know because they don't study it. They don't do what you do. They don't do their research. They're just going by whatever they learned in school. And there's no holistic approach in school. It's just like you got this disease. This is what pill you should give them for, to yeah, they don't go in any kind of nutrition. They don't go in any kind of holistic approach. Yes, whenever I go to my doctor and I bring up any kind of holistic approach, he has no clue. He has no clue. So I understand totally. All right. So tell us about the Beljanski Foundation, your website. If someone wants to, give us because I think even though we've had this conversation, you didn't really tell us what it does. So tell us what it does. Where can people connect with you? Your website, if you've got social media, and anything you want to share about the
Sure.
foundation right now.
So the Beljanski Foundation was created here in New York. It's a 501c3. I created in 99, the year after the passing of my father, in order to continue the research. And the mission is to fund research which is conducted at academic institutions to continue to study those little plant extracts that my father discovered. And at the beginning, it was about confirming their activity on different kind of cancer. Then we went on because the scientists we were working with became also enthusiasts. So we went on to look at the synergy with chemotherapies. All that has been documented. And now we are looking into cancer stem cells, which is kind of holy grail of cancer research, again, because conventional therapies are not addressing them. So we are doing this research, and in order to fund the research, we are hosting events. And we have every year now this 3 days conference about cancer, where we have an array of the best speakers in the world of integrative medicine and more specifically cancer. We are coming together and offer patients, caregivers, and other doctors a number of, very valuable information, I believe. It's a good mix of both health professionals and patients who are coming together. And it's kind of creating a community where everybody is learning from everybody. And that's what I like, research and community.
Yeah, yeah, you need community, you need support, you need hope. I love that. Right. So, what is your website?
So the website is Beljanski, my father's name, beljanski.org, O-R-G. And it's a 501c3. The conference is Beljanski Integrative Cancer Conference, and the website is integrativecancerconference.com. The upcoming conference is San Diego, June 27 to 29, because on Mondays we are going to have a tour of Mexican cancer clinics. And there is also, I have my book, of course, Winning the War on Cancer, The Epic Journey Towards a Natural Cure. And the products are available on the website of Maison Beljanski. Maison means home in French. And it's a
Can you
little
spell that so that I can link out to it?
Maison and then Beljanski, all in one word.com. And it's technically a tea room in Manhattan. And we are taking the time to share a cup of tea with you, and you can get some coaching. And again, the idea of a community in a little house, technically.
Nice. So the products is for the plant extracts that you talk about that can be used in conjunction with chemotherapy or by itself.
The,
Is that what you're
the,
talking about?
we have a full array of dietary supplements that can
Mm.
help support people dealing with cancer, but also immune disease and or even more conventional and benign things. I mean, we have a full array of dietary supplements able to support every aspect of health.
Very good. Beautiful, beautiful. And what is your social media?
I have absolutely no idea. I don't do social media. I protect myself from all negative emotions. Although my team, who is handling all the social media, is telling me there is nothing negative. There is nothing negative.
Well, social media is a
They're
mix,
sending little
right?
hearts when we announce a little events.
Well, I'm sure it's on
But
your website. I'll look it up. Right.
but
Not a
I
problem.
am not
I normally link out to it.
I'm not personally on social media.
Yeah, your website's got to be, that's how you're doing podcast, so you know that you're supposed to be promoting. So, all right, so that is amazing, amazing, amazing. All right, so as we wrap up, let me give a wind down of our conversation. It was a powerful conversation. If there's one thing you take away from today's episodes, it's this: your emotions matter, your stress matters, your trauma matters, your hope matters. Healing is not just about fighting something in a body, it's about creating an environment inside yourself where healing is possible. And that includes giving yourself permission to feel, to process, to relieve, and to believe. If you or someone you love is walking through a cancer journey, I hope that today's conversation brought light instead of fear, empowerment instead of helplessness, and possibility instead of despair. You can learn more about Sylvie Beljanski, the Beljanski Foundation, and Integrative Cancer Conference in the show notes. I will link out to it in the show notes, and I will also link out on my website, which is myhelps.us. Remember that transforming your mind is not just about success or mindset. It's about transforming your internal world so that your body, your life, and your future can reflect wholeness. I love Sylvie's story about how she transformed the energy regarding her father and doing something wonderful, carrying on his name, and also helping people at the same time to give them hope. So, Sylvie, any last words before we wrap up?
Well, I hope that give hope, because I think that's the most important, to believe that there is a future, even when you get a cancer diagnosis. It's not the end. It's just actually the beginning of a new life, a new look at life, and the opportunity actually to learn a lot of things and understand why maybe what you were doing was wrong and you got sick, and it's just a signal, and opening new doors and for the future.
That's great. Yes. One of the things that we know is that pain is a signal that something is wrong. So cancer is a
Exactly.
signal that something is
Exactly.
wrong. So you can
Your,
fix it.
your body is telling you something.
Yeah.
S- l- Take the time to analyze and do something about it.
Yes, I agree. I love it. It is not a death sentence. Right. Yes, it's maybe a signal to live life on a better level. So
Exactly.
that's hope. That is beautiful. That is positive. So thank you, Sylvie, for being on the show. Thank you guys for tuning in to this week's episode of Transform Your Mind to Transform Your Life. We were talking about transforming your mind on the emotions of trauma and stress and all those things because it does have a negative effect on your health. So thanks, Sylvie. Thank you guys for tuning in. Until next time, keep transforming your mind because when you change your mind, you change your life. Namaste.
Namaste.